Here's my 2019 Ascent. It's already up on the ramps. I've already got the hood popped open, but not all the way open yet all the way. Here is the oil and filter I plan on using. Again, I'm going with this FRAM Ultra filter. I know a lot of people hammered me about using Subaru filters and that I need to use them and that's the only thing that'll work and they're the best. And these are rated really well. These are not your standard FRAM filters. I'm not using them for the 20,000 miles that it says or whatever, and I'm not doing any of that. So the company that I normally go to get AmSoil, they don't seem to sell it anymore, so I bought some Valvoline fully synthetic for new engines. I'm hoping that this will be pretty good stuff. Oil I've found really doesn't make that much of a difference from all the research I've done, even though I've been using AmSoil for years, so I guess I'm going to have to change and kind of adapt. Now, underneath the car, as we come around over here, try to move it slow, I already have my pan set up. I've already loosened the bolt, and there's actually some oil slowly dripping down onto the pan. I don't know if you can see it a little bit, so I already loosened it up. I did have a lot of issues loosening this bolt up. I ended up using, bring it over here, this impact driver to loosen it up. I don't know if I over-torqued it last time, but it was, every time it's been tough getting it off. So I've been using an impact, and this is a weak one. This is like, inch-pounds, not foot-pounds of force. So it's not like it's that tough. But so anyhow, I've also got my Fumoto valve ready to go, but it's time to get this bolt off. So I thought I'd try to let everybody see here what happens. I'm going to pause it, and we're going to come back here, and I'm going to take the bolt off. All right, so we're going to let that drain. I've got the bolt here in my hand. The oil, I have to say, looks pretty thick. Although it's a little bit cool. I usually heat it up a little bit more, but didn't feel like going for a longer drive. Okay, it looks a little thinner now that it's a thinner line. I could see through it. It looks a little bit maybe reddish. And it's hard to tell though with the light. Overall, I think it's okay. It's only been 3,000 miles on the car since the last oil change that I did. So, let's see if I can put this in here. We're going to let that finish draining, and I'm going to go do the filter now. And I also switch gloves here. I always wear gloves, by the way, when I work on my car, because this stuff is all carcinogenics. These things cause cancer. They know it causes cancer, so just wear gloves. It's a lot safer, and it's, just cleaner. My hands are nice and clean. All right, so the drain plug is out, and now we're going to take off this filter. This is the FRAM filter I used last time. Let's see if I can just unscrew it by hand. They over-tightened this, I feel, from the factory, but now it feels nice and loose. And I'm able to pull it off no problem. And there is some oil in it because I had the car started not too long ago to try to warm it up a little bit, but it's not too much. I'll probably have to clean that out with a cloth. I don't know if that's going to drain or not. But it is a nice little catch there so that we don't drip it all over your engine compartment. And it was easily able to hold how much was in the filter. Had I warmed the car up a little bit more, probably it would have all drained out and had to let it sit for a little bit longer. But I don't have time today, so I'll just soak that up with a paper towel. Now, the other thing we're going to do here is I'm going to come down here, if I can, with one hand. Actually, let me switch my right hand here. That's a little tighter with the left. All right. Hold on, I'm going to get that cap off with when I have both my hands free here, and then I'm going to come back. All right, so I loosened that cap up once I had both my hands free here, and take this off. And that's where our oil is going to go in. So now I'm still draining it out the bottom. It's open in the bottom. I'm going to put the funnel in. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to grab some oil from an older oil change in my old car. And this is 5W30, but it's not going to matter because the pan is open on the bottom. And what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to pour some of this in to just get this to move any excess oil. Hold on, I got a bus going by there. If there's any excess oil in the engine compartment that's dirty, this is just going to get it to move through. Yes, there might be a little bit of this left over, but you know, that's not going to really damage the car, having just a little bit. I mean, if I filled it up, yes, but so that's the rest of this bottle. It was just, you know, maybe there's a very small amount left in there from my last oil change in my old car. So I won't have any more of this 5W30 on hand since I don't need it anymore. So we're going to let that drain. I'm going to soak up this oil here. It looks like some of it did drain out. So I guess there is some sort of a run back valve there. But we're going to come back here after I close. I'm going to close up the bottom. I'll show you guys. I'm going to put the Fumoto valve on, and then we're going to finish putting the new filter on and close all this up. So let's take a break here for a second. I'll be right back. All right, we're back here. I just opened up the filter. So I'm taking this new filter out of the box. Again, this is a FRAM Ultra synthetic. This is not your standard FRAM filter. They have metal insides, it looks like, and everything. And all the reviews have been fantastic. I'm just going to put this down in the battery for a second here. I have my oil open right here already, so I'm going to just dip my finger in here, if I can. There we go. Got a little bit of oil on my finger. I'm just going to put that on this ring here. Okay, this is what you're supposed to do. Everything where I've read, it says you're supposed to do this. Just put this on the ring. I know I probably shouldn't be doing this on the battery, but I don't have a whole lot of oil on my fingers. I clean this out with a paper towel. I'm going to put the new filter on. Now, all the shops, they really over tighten these things. So right now it's down, it's just pressure. So I'm going to turn it another quarter of a turn, which should be from this side right here, should be over here at least. So I'm going to turn it a little bit more. I'm going to do a half turn. This is plenty tight, believe it or not, okay? You don't need to sit there and just wrestle this thing in. So, I mean, this is plenty tight. It's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to leak. That's what the pressure seal's for. But you don't want to over-tighten it because they're really tough to get off. And then you need wrenches and everything. And it seems like everybody does this. So I mean, I did it over half a turn because here's my mark from before. So I did over half a turn from when it hit and stopped turning by itself, really. So now we're going to go underneath. Just go underneath here. And it looks like there's still some dripping out. But we're going to go ahead and close that up, I think. I think that should be good. I mean, the stuff that's dripping out now is, let me see if I can just put this down right here. The stuff that's dripping down right now, hold on, I'm just going to readjust the camera here, is residual, and I just don't think it's going to matter all that much. So what I have here is I have a Fumoto valve that I'm going to put in. It has this black plastic part on it. I'm going to take that off. So I'm going to do that off camera here, but I'm going to take that off because I'm going to show you here in just a second. When you take it off, I don't know if you can see here, but there is a nut on the end of this. If you have that black plastic valve covering, it covers part of this nut, so you can't really get this on tight enough. So you want to make sure you take that off so that way you can really get that on. And this takes, by the way, a 17 millimeter socket, it looks like. So that's what fit perfectly when I tried it out. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to try to wipe up around the opening here for the oil. So I'm going to just get underneath here. Hopefully I'm not blocking your view. It's actually coming out a little bit faster than I thought. Maybe we'll wait just a little bit longer here and come back. Now, the Fumoto valve that I'm using is the F108S, which has a small nipple on the end. It shows here, it looks like you can attach a hose to it. I wasn't sure if I was going to use that or not, but I thought this way I already have it rather than trying to replace this again later. So that's the one I bought, and I figure eventually I can maybe put something and drain it right into a can instead of this big plastic thing here. I could drain it right into a oil can that I could take and dump at the one of the facilities that recycles oil. So it's still going a little bit, but I think I'm going to seal it up now. So I'm going to just kind of go up here. See, it's still dripping. It's very slow drip, and I don't know if it's just going to keep doing it, how long it's going to keep doing this for. So I'm just going to kind of wipe this up here just a little bit. It's going to keep dripping probably a little bit, but that's okay. I'm going to start putting in this Fumoto valve here. So hopefully I'm not blocking your view. I'm just going to put this in here if I can. There we go. I already have it closed off, by the way. It doesn't feel like it's hitting anything. It's pretty close. All right, this is interesting now. I need to tighten this down. I'm going to take off my glove here. Actually, first thing I'm going to do, to be smart about this, I'm going to take a paper towel. I'm going to make sure that this is clean all around here. So, there's no oil residue or anything like that on there. So I'm going to take off my glove now, and I'm going to tighten this down with my 17 millimeter. Make sure I've got my wrench going the right way. Now, there's one thing I will say, I'm not a big fan of this angle that you do this in. You're kind of at a weird angle. It's, I want to say, like a 30-degree angle or something like that. Now, for this, I really want to tighten it down. I don't want to strip the threads, obviously, but I really want to tighten this down. So it looks like, oops, wrong way. And a little bit more if I can. I have to say, this isn't the best angle that this is stopping at right now. All right, hopefully that's a little better. So right now, basically, when I open it up, it's going to drain all over my hand, which isn't really what I wanted, but might have to be that way. If I can open it. Yep, there we go. And it did drain all over my hand. And I wish I had my glove on for that one. There we go. So now it's going to open up. It's going to finish draining. But that's how you install the Fumoto valve. It looks, as I said, it's not the best angle, I feel, for getting in there. I'm probably going to have to put the car up on these ramps every time. I was hoping I could just reach underneath and do it. But because of this weird angle that it's at, I mean, it's at this weird angle. It's sticking out kind of at an angle like this. Instead of straight down or kind of like this. I wish it was more straight down so it would kind of be easier to do. But it's at a weird angle. So I'm going to go ahead and close this off. And you do that, you just push it up. That's what I love about these things. And you just wipe off the tip and you're done. And that's it for installing a Fumoto valve. Now it's time to go put the oil in. All right, so we're back up top here. And it's time to start putting in this oil. So I'm going to bring the oils across here to the camera. Give me just a second here. So I'm going to stand at an angle this way. I'm not sure the best angle to pour this at because it's really low in there, the oil container, but luckily this thing kind of has a funnel on it too. So looks like I got it just right. So we're going to pour in this entire container. This is 5 quarts that I have here. It should be able to hold all of this. This oil is sort of a golden color, so I'll have to remember that when I go to check on it later. As I said, I'm pouring this entire 5-quart container in. I think this car takes about 5 quarts. It should be enough. All right, there we go. That's done. Now what we can do here, hold on just a second. I'm going to grab a paper towel. And we're going to check the dipstick. All right, so here's the dipstick for the Subaru. If you can't, let's back up here. So here's the front of the car on the left or passenger side. We're going to go back over this, and on the back side of this, there's a yellow thing right here you can pull out. That's your dipstick. So I'm dripping in the car here. Hold on just a second. I'm going to wipe this off. So I just wiped off the dipstick. It's now clean. There's no oil on it at all. You can't really see it because it's not focusing on it, but there's no oil on it at all. I'm going to find that little hole. I'm going to put it right back in. So I'm going to push it right back in, pull it right back out after I wiped it off, and that's where we're going to look at it. And it looks like it's about halfway. It's probably really hard to see from there. And maybe you can see it a little bit that way, but it's about halfway. So which is about where I want it. You don't have to have it full. You don't want it below the low dot, but it's about halfway, which is good. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start the car and see if there's any leaks down below or by the filter. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to look by the filter here. Well, actually, you know what the first thing we're going to do? We're going to take out this funnel. If I can get it out now. take out this funnel, and we're going to put our cap back on before we start the car. Actually, what we're going to do here is we're going to do a quick cursory check. It doesn't look like there's any oil really around this filter that's leaking out or anything like that right now, or that I wouldn't notice, let's say. Let's see if I can get this back on. Now, just so you know, if this is a little tough to get off, you can grab a crescent wrench, one of the adjustable ones, put it on both sides, you can just turn it off real quick. That's what I had to do to just sort of get it off because it was on so tight. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come under the car here. Hold on, let's just see here. We're going to go under the car here. And then we're going to check for leaks under here. So I'm just maneuvering around here. That all looks pretty clean to me. I don't see any leaking. So I think this will be good. We're going to start the car. I'm going to check for leaks, and then we'll be done. So that's it for changing the oil in the Ascent. By the way, I forgot to mention, but when I took off the nut from here, it was a 14 millimeter. Let's just see here, 14 millimeter that I used to get that off. It was really tough to get off. What's surprising is the next morning it was loose and it just fell right off essentially. So I'm doing this oil change last second here right before I go to work. So overall, I'm a little bit worried about the Fumoto valve and the location. I'm not a big fan of this location as far as I wish this was on the other side for opening it up or down below. Just realized I'm not in view anymore. Down below, something so I could kind of reach in instead of having to reach right in front of the oil when I do it. But you know, you do what you can. Maybe I'll see if I can tighten it up a little bit more. It probably could tighten a little bit since it's got that rubber washer on it, but we'll see. So that's how you change the oil in the Ascent, and the Fumoto valve definitely works, the F108S that I bought. So there you go.